stick and stay with us for the duration of the program. Sometime during the program, I'll tell you when, I'll update you on that. We are expected to join by Deputy Spokesperson and the Culture and Creative Industry for the People's National Party, Mr. Colin Bell. He will join us sometime during the program as we take a look at the successful, very successful carnival that culminated yesterday right here in Jamaica. And, you know, we are seeing the front page article beaming and telling us how much of a success carnival this year was, and we, you know, really hail that. We understand that people who had their Airbnb, you know, that probably was vacant for a little bit, they had the opportunity of making some money, and we're indeed very, very even more happy for what we're hearing, that the vendors, you know, the local people, the average guy out there, we gather that they also made some money out of the carnival event. I'm sure that the Ministry of Tourism and indeed culture, but more so tourism, should be crunching the numbers to tell us exactly what this means for the economy of Jamaica. Of course, you know that we've had 2 consecutive quarters of decline, and effectively the Jamaican economy went into a recession. We haven't got the number for the first quarter of 2025. But all of those and more we will drill into as we go into the program. All right, so let's get straight into it, into Conrad's take, as I posit my view here and, you know, some of the issues that have taken place here in Jamaica during the week and certainly over the weekend since I last been on radio on Tuesday. I want to just start out this morning by offering deep condolences to, and I'm not going to call any name, just the families across the length and breadth of Jamaica who have lost loved one. Know a lot of persons have lost the matriarch or the patriarch of the family and so on. We have seen where some youngster died, and, you know, so want to offer condolences to the family who have lost loved one. And for those of us who have lost, you know, our dear loved ones, but it's still fresh in our mind. So asking you to just cheer up and so on, because whenever you think about that and so on, or you have it to deal with presently, then it's always an issue there. But please just allow me to say a special good morning to Mrs. Ennis. That's the wife of the late former Minister of Government and Member of Parliament over there in West Portland, Mr. Errol Jiggs Ennis, you know, gather that they are planning a massive PNP night over there for him and so on. So we wish them all the best in that one. And, you know, we have quite a people who have served. Some of them served, and at the end of the day, they even have difficulty in buying medication, while you have some who go into the politics without anything, and they are now awash with cash, some of them that is, you know. But we still have honest people who are serving, and we want to hail those while we try and root out those who are certainly under all sorts of investigation and deemed to be corrupt and so on. Not just here in Jamaica, but indeed across the world. And while I note that it is really a allegation and so on, but we take note that the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, a man I have regard for, Mr. Gaston Brown, you know, always a forthright man, and so on, a Caribbean man indeed. We understand that, you know, he is in a little bit of pickle, and the United States government, they are asking for financial details for himself and his wife. But certainly, Gaston Brown, there is no love lost there. You know, Gaston was one of those hard hitters that came out even against the Cuban doctors, the stand that the United States took on the Cuban doctor and so on. And he has been a tough cookie, so to speak. So we watch that and we are aware that, you know, sometimes when they dare to buck the mighty United States, they come off to you. So we're looking at those things. Of course, we're also looking at the fact that today, two of our partners, of course, Canada, they're having their election today, but our sister neighbor, Trinidad and Tobago, they are also having their election today. But guess what? Jamaica election is in the offing, as we dubbed it, election 2025 right here in Jamaica. However, I want to point something out because it is difficult for incumbent, especially when you're a two-term administration, because invariably, you know, people will say, well, you get one term and you may need another term to do something. But when you're all have two terms, you know, and our two term, granted our terms are longer than the United States of America. We have 5 terms while they have 4-year terms, and indeed their president, he's only allowed 2 terms. And you know, we all thought that by now, based on the pronouncement that was made by Prime Minister Holness, we would not be worrying about, you know, how many terms a prime minister would serve, and would not be worried about when our election would be held, because those are some of the promises that he campaigned on. But alas, you know, those promises seems to have gone to naught, and we don't even get an update from the PM on that. But I want to stay with the scenario here that incumbents are normally invariably has a problem, you know, when you're 2-year or more. It's always kind of more difficult because it's a much harder sell for you. But here what happened, and I heard Deacon Espute this morning elsewhere. Would be interested to talk to Deacon tomorrow if he's available. And he made a very important point this morning, in my view, where he said that one of the difficulty the Labour Party will have going into the election, not writing them off at all, you know, because of course all we do is speculate. At the end of the day, it's really the people that really have the ultimate say. But it was instructive to hear Deacon Espute said that, listen, the Holness-led government, there's a lot of, you know, things surrounding the Prime Minister himself and so on, and the Prime Minister had become jaded and they have lost a lot of popularity. He also posits the view that although you have incumbency, say in Canada and in the Republic of Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, what you have there is new leadership. You know, both Mr. Young, who is the Prime Minister of Trinidad now, and oh my goodness, the gentleman, the new Prime Minister of Canada, his name slipped me just now, but I get back to that. Madam Producer, help me there. The Prime Minister, the new Prime Minister's name in England, of Canada, his name just slipped me just a bit there. So, you know, they are new. So they can make a point, you know, or make a pitch for themselves that while they are, you know, representing the party that has been in power, then, you know, but they are new. And again, quite interested, Mr. Espute, Deacon Espute, he also said this morning that that is what he's hearing in certain halls, and those halls probably will be coming out of the JLP itself, or people just speaking to say that the JLP would have a better chance going into the next election right here in Jamaica with a new leader. You know, and we've heard that kind of conversation ourselves as well, that, you know, as a matter of fact, people are saying that Listen, maybe, Mr. oh yes, or Mr. Prime Minister Carney, all right? That's his name. Thanks. So it's going to be interesting to see, is it too late for the JLP to really put somebody new at the helm? I participated in a discussion elsewhere in the media, myself and Mr. Rattigan, Mr. Tavares, who else? Rattigan, Tavares, myself, and of course Head Boy was there too, and also Senator Marlon Morgan. We had that discussion, and the topic was, should the Prime Minister or is the Prime Minister qualified to be on the ballot for the next election based on the allegation that surrounds the Prime Minister? And, it was a very, very interesting discussion. We had that discussion on Saturday on a very popular YouTube channel, Portland Spice TV, owned and operated by Colin Bell out of Eastern Portland. But he was interested, and of course, majority of the views is that, based on the whole allegations and so on, then it seems the consensus was that the Prime Minister should not be on the ballot. But, there's nothing in Jamaica based on our constitutional arrangement that would stop him. It would be more from a moral standpoint, when you look at it. Does what's surrounding the Prime Minister, does it, should he recuse himself from being on the ballot? But based on what we're seeing, the movements of the PM and so on, it doesn't seem so. But we have seen where hasty retreat have been beaten out of government. We had, for example, Bruce Golden. We all went to bed and we thought Bruce Golden was going to lead the Jamaica Labour Party into that election, and that was when Andrew Holness himself was heralded in to the top of the podium on the JLP ticket, and hence he became leader of the Labour Party and led them into election where he lost. And of course, one would remember also with former Commissioner of Police, Mr. Ellington, who from all account, we all thought he was doing a good job. Well, I thought he was doing a good job. I believe that, whatever you want to say about Mr. Ellington, in my view, he was certainly one of the better police commissioner. And, he was basically working and so on, and we all woke up and saw where he beat an east to retreat. To date, we have not had the real reason why that took place. However, because we haven't gotten any direct communique from him as it relates to him, moving away from the helm of the police force, and ultimately outside of the force itself. We have seen him re-emerge right now in various governmental position. He is the chairman for the Solid Waste Management Authority. He is also the acting managing director out there at the JUTC. So he has quite a bit of role that he is playing. I also wanted to touch what we see over there in Portmore, the death of about 10 crocodile, very, very inhumane and so on. But I'm up on time. That's Conrad Steak. Stick and stay with us. Don't leave the space.
Time come now. Time come. We're tired of the scandal and corruption in government. Time come. Our progress we are deal with for the long run. With PNP the betterment must come.
The time by the People's National Party is
9:30.
Empire Group of Companies is now in the heart of New Kingston to serve you better. At 31 Tobago Avenue, get Empire Stationery and Office Supplies, Empire Restaurant and Hotel Supplies, and Empire Med and Scientific Supplies. Free same-day delivery island-wide. Visit their showroom today. Call 876-906-1965-6 or WhatsApp 876-775-2277. Email empirestationery1@gmail.com.
Are you looking for exceptional dental care? Then look no further, because Wellington Dental is here to serve you. We offer dental care for both adults and children. At Wellington Dental, we know that a visit to the dentist might be mind-boggling, but don't let that stop you from getting the dental care you need. We have trained therapists to help alleviate your anxiety and make you feel so relaxed you feel like you're at home. Wellington Dental, located at 57 Wellington Street, Spanish Town. We look forward to serving you.
Make we keep Jamaica clean. Me as if we keep Jamaica clean. Keep Jamaica clean. Our duty to keep our island clean. Mobile to Kingston, sidewalk and beach. Bag it, bin it, recycle it, please. Proper garbage disposal, make we do it. Keep Jamaica clean. Keep Jamaica. A message from the National Solid Waste Management Authority.
Property owners, pay your property tax arrears now. Visit your nearest tax office, Linstead Old Harbour and Spanish Town. Pay by cash, debit or credit card, and take your TRN if you're paying by check. Property tax pays for street lights, garbage collection and disposal, parochial road rehabilitation and beautification. Contact your tax office or the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation at 876-984-3111 or 984-3112. Avoid legal actions. Pay your property taxes now.
You know the voices. Now relive the moments.
Can I start by asking you a very simple question?
Yes, dear. Make it very simple.
I'm not your yesterday man, and I'm not Johnny Come lately.
Already you are building the Jamaica of the future.
We're ready at the University of the West Indies.
This university and the people of Jamaica are with us all the way through.
The University Archives and NT93 FM present Voices from the Archives. Weekdays at 12:30 p.m., Monday to Thursdays at 6 in the evening, and Sundays at 8 in the morning on Newstalk 93 FM.
Newstalk 93 FM. Heard everywhere.
Welcome back to Straight Up right here in Newstalk 93 FM. My name is Conrad O'Brien. They call me the Fireman. And indeed, we go up until 12 midday. It's your program. It's your mid-morning number one fix. We are opening the phone lines. The phone lines so you can actually chime in and give us a call, because our guest will be at 10:10 this morning. So once again, let me remind you of the numbers. The numbers are 876-212-9824, 876-462-0919. Of course, you know it's a Monday, and we can't forget our partners that are simulcasting with us. So we're simulcasting live on Fit FM 96.7, and of course online at fitfmja.com, and affiliate station the Caribbean Vibes Radio and the Wayne Hall Network. So how is the sound coming through? Good?
Yeah, the sound all right.
Great. All right, cool. You must tell me when everything Christian, because when we're having issues in a call, I'm bonfire like hell. So if you're good, just give me a heads up. All right, go ahead.
Give thanks to the powers that be, you know.
Indeed. As we say, thanks to the engineer who works on magic, so we'll gather we are much cleaner.
Engineer and producer, all of the people in the office there.
Indeed. All right, we hail them on your behalf. They're listening, yes?
Not even the endangered species, them not safe again.
Boy, I tell you, I heard Minister Samuda said, that they basically ordered an investigation, and they hold on. No, it is important. What happened? Certainly, there has been a falling down from the National Water Commission, and when these things happen, you have to investigate to see what happened. But what he said it will be an unencumbered investigation, meaning that there will be no holes barred, there will be no cover up or anything. And he said that the chips will fall where they may. So we are anticipating that, because certainly what happened over there in Portmore should never allowed to continue, and we are hearing that all of this was against millions upon millions of dollars that was spent there. We heard from MP Fitzjackson, so something seems to have gone awry.
We have 2 investigations about them kind of same thing there under the way, and none of them no result. We don't even hear nothing, gone a secret.
Well, that is true, and you see, those are some of the things that the citizens of Jamaica are basically upset with. We hear that there are investigations. Sometimes you get the impression that you just get the communique that, listen, an investigation is underway in order to quell things, to calm the nerve of people, and it's not good at all.
Right now, the people them fall down upon the work of the country. The whole country, my brethren. Remember, endangered species them there,
Yes.
And 10 one time.
Yeah, man, and we understand that one of the we understand that one of the female basically had about 30 eggs there, ready to produce. We also understand that there were 2 young crocodile, just in their infantry stage, that they also met their demise, because
them crocodile are the last of the crocodile in St. Catherine, You know, so the last of the crocodile family that in St. Catherine.
Well, I don't know that it is the last, but certainly that area, and we heard from our professionals here right at UWI that area is the most populated of the crocodile in Jamaica. So for us to lose all of 10 at one time, certainly, it's cause for concern.
Mr. we could have none left. We could have none left.
Yes.
You hear Mr. Benjamin?
Yeah, man.
Huh?
Yes, we're seeing one of our viewers here was saying that the JLP is a bunch of incompetent
the minister,
I can't use that word.
The environment fall under?
Yes, man. Matthew Samuda, it fall under Matthew's portfolio, yes.
And the Prime Minister office,
he operates out of the Prime Minister's office. He is a minister without portfolio out of the office of the Prime Minister, yes.
So, you see, Conrad, remember, the river them pollute, Conrad.
Polluted, yes.
That's where the alligator they use to hang out, And then pollute them, And the wetland now where them fish stay, then they dry up,
Yes, because...
And this are the only little place where the alligator them fish stay. And they go dry it up too.
Yeah, okay, what we understand that the alligator, they don't breathe, they don't breathe. They don't sweat like humans. So what happened, there is a way that they basically go out for heat. And once they get hot now, they retreat to the wetland, and the swamp of the water, of course.
You never know that before you dry up the place.
It's carelessness of no mean order, son. I believe that the truth is that head should roll for this one.
I cannot hear me now. Hear me. Have a nice day, yeah?
All right, my friend. God bless you. Thanks for the call. All right, that's Africa there, weighing in. And indeed, it's very, 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 very interesting. Very sad, very, very sad situation there, you know. We continue to take your calls. The numbers are 876-212-9824. That's 876-212-9824 and 876-462-0919. Thanks for the compliments that I'm getting from all the person who believe that I have a wonderful voice. My voice is absolutely amazing for broadcasting. Thanks for that. All right. By way of notation coming in on the WhatsApp thing here. Thanks. Okay, we have calls. Let's continue to take the call. Hello, caller.
Morning, Obi.
Hi, Marshy. How are you, man?
I heard you mention something a while ago about alligator. We have alligator here now?
Crocodile. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry. Very, very sorry. Very sorry. My humble apology. My humble apology. I know students are listening and so on. I inadvertently said said crocodile. Said you know. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm alone, my boy bounce at you here, sir.
No, I don't regard that as a bouncer, really. I appreciate the correction. I mean, you know.
I know it's a mistake.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Now, I listening to Marlon. I think it was Saturday. He was on a program. I think he was on that program also.
Yes, I alluded to it earlier. Myself, right. Mr. Rattigan, Mr. Tavares, and of course Senator Morgan. Yes.
I don't plan to be disrespectful to Marlon, and I won't do that. But if somebody call you an idiot, you know, you shouldn't open your mouth and prove it, you know. You should have just relax and not say anything. And you know, Marlon running with an argument every time him hotter nowadays. Him hotter this argument. They reduce crime by 36%. They reduce crime by 36%. Marlon need to understand that for the 10 years, what they are there, 10 straight years now, them there.
9. 9 going.
All right, 9. We're running off at 10, because they're near to the 10. Anyhow, crime increased by 37.7%. Then we're going to bring it down to 36% right now. That means crime still higher than where it was when they came.
And remember now that we're talking about just within the 4 months of this year. So anything could happen and we could get a spike, or as well as we could get a further reduction. But the important.
Hold on a second. You said something a while ago. It's for this year they're talking.
Yes, this year.
For the corresponding period. So then things that crime, overall crime don't reduce then. What?
No, man, not at all. Remember that the figures showed that and I'll go back to three leaders.
Yeah, man, you're correct. You're correct, man. Don't bust your brain. You're correct.
No, what I'm saying. Hold on. What I'm saying is that we go to 3. Under Bruce, 4 years, it was 1,600 plus. Then PJ Patterson's 14 years was 900 plus, 900. Yeah. And on the wholeness, 9 years, it's 1,300 plus. That's the average. So, and that is why I pushed back very, very hard on George Davis the other day when he dared to refer to PJ as the murder prime minister, because indeed it is just not true.
And I want to tell you something. Why it's worse on the wholeness? The Guinness Book of Record have him as the Prime Minister who called the most state of emergency.
Yeah, man, without a doubt.
Right? And so you have all the state of emergency, you have the ZOSO and the curfew and all that. Curfew is a word that I hate, you know. I hate curfew. You know why I hate curfew? I try to twist it for my purpose.
Yes.
Your curfew. And just a few years occur. What happened to all of the rest who do the wrong?
it takes you to come up with something like this, Marsh.
Yeah. So what I'm saying, that's a joke.
All right.
But Marlon need to come. Marlon need to come better than that now. Because what Marlon talking about and what the JLP talking about, And in extension to what the PNP talking about also, the people on the ground feeling something different. They need to understand all politics is local. When Marlon talking about unemployment decrease, let me tell you something. Unemployment in his book decrease, but inflation gone. When you get minimum wage, you know, you can't get minimum wage and have to rent one house for 45,000 a month, you know, because if you want to live somewhere decent, you know, you're not get no minimum wages rent, you know. You not get them kind of something there, you know. So when they're talking and them foolishness, the supermarket thing, the wholesale, the marketing is a different thing. When you talk about people have job, your job is like a sweatshop. Teachers, if you borrow fear figure work, we're not talking about car park out in a schoolyard and schoolyard full of lower car. You think that make economy good, my brethren?
No, well, put it this way. Put it this way. From PJ Patterson liberalized the used car market.
That's
right?
where it take off.
Hold on. What happened? We all went to school, and we know that you used to see one, certainly in my day, you used to see one Cortina L or a Morris Oxford or whatever, and it was the principal who owned it. Right?
So that is a fact.
You may have, I remember, for example, when I was in early school, one of my teachers, Miss Henry, her husband was an insurance agent and he had a car. And I think it was like about, she would get a driver of that car from time to time. And it was she and the principal that would drive a car there,
One BMC.
Yes. So we know that, and after that, and the same thing with church, we normally say the bishop or the pastor drive a church. And on the PJ, we see where you start going to church or to school and schoolyard, and you can hardly find parking space. So, the fact that we're seeing more and more cars at school now, that is not a credit to the JLP administration at all. Exactly. But Marlon also admit, and I don't want to spend the program on him, but based on that program, when we roll out the numbers in terms of the poverty rate, he also admit that, listen, poverty is higher now than when the JLP took office in 2016, based on the Prime Minister's own chart that he put out in the budget debate. And, as a matter of fact, there was a big laugh because people were saying that, boy, Marlon admit that so probably now have no work.
Because what Marlon needs to understand, as I said before, listen when I said the people on the ground feel something different. Because people life becomes worse,
Yes.
People life become, I won't tell that it was easy when the PNP was there. What I can tell you, it gets worse. It gets worse under wellness. And listen this word. It's unauthorized copy, but me I go use it. Things get worse under Andrew Wellness administration.
You're taking cue from the one of the JLP councillor there, the administrator.
It's a JLP people representative, people who represent.
But what if you don't think it's a slip of the tongue? Rather than saying administration, she say administry. Aren't you? Are you beating the goodly councillor too hard?
When you have a slip of the tongue, don't you beg pardon and say correction?
You should once you acknowledge it. Once it's acknowledged, you should.
She allow it to go.
All right.
Yeah, she allow it to go. And stabilization of the dollar, I want to stop use that word because we are using the net international reserve to stabilize the dollar. That is not good. Is one set of people
in 1 week, all of 90
million. Let's use one of the big words them where me no know if Bella can call a word. a Bella or Bala or Bella, where she name. I don't think she can call it. But when the money that pump in the economy to stabilize the dollar, one set of people benefit. You call them the oligopolists. They are the only beneficiary. The poor people now benefit.
Or as my friend Jeffrey, who is listening, like to say, the vumva v and vumva va.
Yes, they are the one who benefited from it. The poor people now, poor people just feeling the pangs at supermarket. And when you talk about no new tax, you couldn't do any more tax because you tax the food already, and every time you go and an item increase, the tax increase. Right? Because well, at least they're truthful. They say no new tax. They don't say no tax increase. They don't say that. Because they couldn't dare use that word. So you have the same old tax, but all you do, you increase it.
Because what happened, the price of goods and services, and that's a point I was even trying to make then, as to how impactful inflation is outside of the general basket overall, when you put everything, the caviar and so on, that attract very little increase. The food, the basic, the persons at the bottom of the ladder, inflation hits us very much harder, because 100% of our income, or of those income, really goes into purchasing of food and so on. And that's where the real inflation is, where you're talking about 40, 50, as much as 80% from time to time. That's the kind of inflation that the people are facing. So, you know. Those are the things, Marsha, and those are some of the things that are going to be on the ballot that people will be voting. It happened in the United States.
I'm going to give you a word, and you call them can't take it if they want. Me not charge them. I'll show you a thing what the trick demologists use. Trick demologists, me call them, trick demologists.
Yeah, man.
Good. Listen, now gasoline this week increase by $5.
$5?
Well, no, man. It's an example. It increased by $5 this week. Next week they take off $3, right? $2 still today, right? So they say gasoline down today. Next week, when them come back with, it go back up by $4. The next week they take it down by $3. Another $2 still, and they go on and on. So you see the increases we are here at all times. No,
you're indeed correct.
Yeah. So when you put $2 on gasoline, can somebody tell me the tax that you have on gasoline? Can somebody tell me when you put $2 on the price of gasoline, how much money going on the government's coffers? I'd like them to do a study on that.
All right.
Motorists are feel it when they got the gas pump.
All right. You put a lot on the table this morning, Marsha.
All right.
Blessings. All right. Thanks a lot for your call there. All right. That's Marsh there, is out of St. Catherine, and always have quite a bit to say. The Gleaner this morning, the old lady of North Street, is reporting, and its front page, big boost over housing. Wholeness urges electorate to choose JLP policies and slam opposition promise to solve home ownership crisis. Mr. Wholeness, I'll say this to you, and I know that you don't need advice from me, but I'll say this to you. Don't bark up this tree. Don't go the tree of housing with the People's National Party. You can't win. You can't win. You can't win. Not just that the PNP rolled out much more houses than any JLP administration, but the mainstay of what create the housing facility for the majority of the Jamaican people is the flagship policy, or one of the flagship policy of the People's National Party, which is the Housing Trust. I would urge you to retreat from that. You can't win. You can't win on housing over the PNP. All right, so the Jamaican electorate is being urged by Prime Minister Andrew Holness to choose his government's housing policies over the opposition. And even now, when we talk to, we spoke to the president for the small and micro business sector recently, Miss Antoinette Hamilton, and she said, as a person who represent her sector, or her sector represent 80% of the working class in Jamaica, because that's where the majority of our workers come from, medium and small businesses. And she said that, listen, the PNP housing policy that they put forward, certainly in the debate, and will be going forward in their manifesto, is far superior to the Jamaica Labour Party policies. And she actually touted the grant that will be given to young people. She also touted the fact that, you know, the rent to own and so on. Those kind of things, you know, and certainly it's something you have to look at. She went further to say that they were invited, or they are spoken to both parties, but the PNP found favor, or certainly look at their proposal in a much detailed way, and the PNP housing plan is fit for purpose so that the majority of Jamaicans who are at the lower end of the podium will be able to benefit from it. The lower level of Jamaicans will be able to benefit from it. Let me speak in very, very simple words so everybody can understand what we're talking about. So those are some of the things that will be out there on the ballot to speak to make your choice on. And as I said earlier, that, you know, I was listening to Deacon Espute earlier, and he was making the point about you know, certainly the JLP would have a better chance if they should have a new leader, because Mr. Holness, and this is my word, I'm adding to it, but that's what he was saying in essence. Mr. Holness is tainted, and certainly he used this word now, he used the popularity as basically waned in a big way, and he also made reference to the last local government election, which was in February of last year. So when you factor all of those in, you know, he made that point. And we are also hearing through the grapevine that there are a bit of tug and war in the Jamaica Labour Party now as it relates to leadership. They're saying that should Holness really lead the Labour Party into the next election, or should he give way? But my information is that they're saying that the man who would seem as the second tier person, Christopher Tufton, Labour rights are not hugging him up, because them say Chris is not a genuine Labour man. You know, they say Chris had antecedents maybe in PNP and antecedent in the NDM under Bruce Golden. So Chris is not basically held up as a genuine, hardcore, rockstone Labour man from birth. And, you know, that's it. The other person that was seen as another person who could get the delegate vote is the chairman, Bobby Montague. But for some reason, Bobby doesn't meet the profile of the leader of what the Jamaica Labour Party basically look for. So all of those things, and we are there, we are like a mole sometimes in the room when certain discussions are taking place. So contrary to what some people would want to believe, that we don't have information, we do information. It's our business, but guess what? We can't disclose our sources. All right? We're running up, we're marching up to the 10 o'clock hour right here. Well, we're right there. So let's go to the 10 o'clock break. When we come back, we'll have the caretaker MP for Southwest St. Anne, Southwest St. Anne, Danishka Williams, and let's see. So let's see if I have the just bear with me, Danishka. Just want to just give a background as to what we are talking about. So yes, so all right, good. So all right, so Calderwood, there was she basically issued a release about the Calderwood Healthcare Center. So joining us this morning is caretaker MP Danishka Williams, who has been vocal in demanding immediate intervention from the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Councillor Caretaker Williams is calling for mobile clinic to be deployed deployed to basically fill the void there at the Calderwood area. Without further ado, let me welcome Danishka Williams to the program straight up. Hi, Danishka. Hello, Miss Williams.
Good morning, Conrad. Good morning, dear listeners.
Good morning. Sorry to make a little bit of bundle there for your brief because I had a little issue in locating it, but my able producer was able to back me up quickly on it. So the conversation that we're having this morning, Danishka, is as it relates to health. Concern of healthcare within your constituency of Southwest. And, you know, it's amazing that this constituency for years was represented by the Gallimore clan of medical fame. And it seems as if it just did not get that kind of variety. And then...
Well, the hospital in my constituency is only hospital to downgrade. So it has moved from hospital to community hospital. To community hospital.
So one can understand that. But the man on in the job now is Mr. Main, and he's seeking a third term as member of parliament. Of course, you have been hitting him hard last week or the week before. We talk about, you know, they take to the street to defame your billboards and so on. But we're not talking about that too. We're talking about the Calderwood Health Center that has been closed, and in your communique you say while it was necessary, but you posit a view as to how that could be remedied. Talk to us what is happening in that your neck of the woods.
So for me, Conrad, I've been in Southwest St. Anne since December campaigning. You know, this is an election year. So many of it's not business as usual. It's not as if I started in 2021 where it's a meet and greet. It is straight to the politics, you know, but while we're doing the politics and the campaigning, the people have to be at the center of it. And while I can speak all day about them tearing down my boards and how it tells me that I have driven fair in them. 5'2" Danishka Williams have driven fair in over 6 foot Xavier Main. What's more important at this point in time is to speak about the issues that will help to move my people forward.
Indeed.
On February 17th, I toured. We had Dr. Alfred Dawes, who is the next Minister of Health and Wellness. He joined me in the constituency for a tour of the health centers across the entire constituency. So we went to Alexandria to see how the community hospital is being upgraded. So, you know, the government signed an MOU with 2 NGOs in the U.S. to do some upgrades. That was when Horace Daly was minister. You know, so when you see them coming to claim it, just remember I said it was Horace Daly, and you can do that Google search. So that we toured there, we saw the upgrades. You know, it looks lovely. We also went to Watttown, and we saw where they're understaffed. So I can write down and tell you everything that needs to be done in all the health centers to give them, to help to fix the problems that exist there, as well as to help meet the needs of my constituents. But what's of primary concern is the Calderwood Health Center. Now, the health center, my councillor, Paul McFarlane, he has been advocating he was advocating for the closure of the health center because it was infested with mold.
Yes.
Right? So the nurses...
Stick up in there, Danishka. Your councillor, Mr. McFarlane, he had advocated for the closure of the Calderwood Health Center because it was infested with mold. You know, let's not take it for granted that everybody understand exactly. Spend a minute and just explain the mold situation and why it would be important for the call to be made based on the infestation of mold.
Okay, so if you know, well, I know many persons know that that's what caused the closure for Cornwall Regional, right? Being in any building that is infested with mold, you can develop respiratory issues. It can cause wheezing. Anybody with asthma like myself, it can cause you to have asthma attacks, sinus
so in layman term, it's something. It should be similar to what some people would call Junjo on the wall and all those sort of things.
There you go. But also you go in sick and you leave sicker because of the condition of the building. Now, bear in mind, this is a building that they were leasing, right? They were leasing for the purpose of a clinic, which, I mean, it's fine. But the councillor had been advocating for its closure because there are days when you would go there and the nurses are sitting outside, so you're seeing patients outside of the building as opposed to inside of the building, because inside will cause you to be sick. No.
So sick people were going into a sick building.
After 4 years, it was closed. Right, so they closed it earlier this year, and they have since moved the nurses down to Alexandria, right? So they're working from Alexandria, and what my residents in the Calderwood division have said to me is that they are uncomfortable with it because it is costly. The mothers who are pregnant, right? Mothers who have kids and want basic services for their children, the elderly persons, they have an issue because of the transportation cost to move from Calderwood to Alexandria. Now, bear in mind, the term used to is very important here. They are used to being able to go next door. They're used to being able to go down the road. So now, to move them to go a distance to Alexandria.
All in walking distance, yes?
Exactly. Now it's burdensome. Right? It's a burden on them, a financial burden, right? It also takes time. So there's a time constraint and there's a financial burden on my residents in Calderwood. So what I'm doing is, I'm not just saying this is a problem, I'm saying, well, here's a solution.
And sorry, Danishka, would I be correct to say a lot of those residents in Calderwood are small farmers and so on, so it would take away the time for their...
Most of my constituents are farmers. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Go ahead. I was just trying to make the point, assist in making the point how burdensome this is, because when you have to leave to a distance, then certainly it's going to take you a whole day, which ordinarily your resident would be able to just run there and run back to their farm and so on.
And you don't know what you're gonna be met with when you go there, because now you're leaving from your hometown to go into Alexandria, which is in the same constituency, but it's still a distance. So we can't discount the issues that persons are facing, right? What we need to do is find solutions. Now, my solution is the Ministry of Health and Wellness, they're able to provide mobile clinics. And I think these mobile clinics will serve my residents in Calderwood in a meaningful way. You know, checkups for basic stuff like colds and minor infections, they can do that. Maternal checks, they can do that. The management of chronic diseases which affect elderly persons, you know, screening for diabetes, hypertension,
simple dressing and so on.
These are things that the clinics can do. They can do vaccine campaigns. You know, blood pressure checks, the clinics can do a lot of these things. So let's schedule 2 days a week or 3 days a week, whatever is financially possible for the Ministry of Health that has overrun a budget on Cornwall Regional. Tell me what's financially possible for Calderwood. And let's work through that.
Good. So
it cannot be that we remove the health center, understandably so, but then we don't give them a solution, a meaningful solution.
Sounds rather interesting to me, Danishka, and it shows me that what you're doing, you're indeed thinking out of the box, because you're not only complaining to say, listen, the clinic is closed and so on, because you understand that it was a sick building, they're housing sick people, so people become more sick. But you have now prescribed a solution. What happened? Has the Ministry of Health responded to your release?
No, they have not.
Nothing?
They have not responded to me. But I still am looking forward to a response. You know, I will continue to press the issue, because what I find is that there's so many things happening in the media, and I'm not one to cuss the media because I do work in that kind of space. I do marketing, so I know I have relationships. But what I know is that there are things that may feel more important. So you will press these things more. For me, this is most important, because we're dealing with lives. We're dealing with children, we're dealing with the elderly, we're dealing with pregnant women. Right? So for me in Southwest St. this issue is very important, and I will be pressing it until I see a solution. You know, I'm going to press until the ministry responds and says, hey, Danishka, 1 day a week is what we can do right now. Whatever it is that you can do, let me know. If I need to write them a letter, I will do so. Whatever it is, because I'm the only voice that Southwest St. knows right now. So whatever it is that is necessary will be done to ensure that they get results, because we're doing it for the people.
So let me drill down on a specific here, Danishka. I know that you speak to it in a broad way, but how are residents coping in the meantime, especially those with chronic illness and limited mobility?
Well, as you can imagine, I haven't spoken to all residents, but the residents that I have spoken to, some of them, they do get resources to go to Alexandria. There are others who they're complaining they're not able to. Right? So there are persons who do go, and there are persons who are not able to. And there are persons who are unwilling. Because, you know, you have persons who are sucking them in. So there are persons who are genuinely unwilling because they think it is unfair and they think there should be a solution. The government should provide them with a solution.
Danishka, do you have a sense of I know it's still a work in progress, but do you have a sense, you know, even preliminary, as to about how many people this Calderwood Health Center would serve in your constituency? Population size?
It would serve thousands of persons, but I can't give you an exact
thousands.
Number.
Wow.
I can't give you an exact number, to be honest. Calderwood is my smallest division, but it is densely populated.
So geographically, it's the smallest size, but by way of numbers, how does it match up with the other divisions?
Let me look and tell you.
All right, so we're talking to Danishka Williams right here in News Talk 93 FM, straight up with yours truly, Conrad O'Brien, the fireman. We get to the heart of the matter, and today we're looking at health in her constituency, the Calderwood division. Of course, she called for a mobile clinic after the closing down of the clinic there because it was mold infested. So what you had was sick people already sick, going into a sick building. So the potential of you coming out sicker and even result in death, because, for example, somebody, as Danishka talk about, you know, somebody with asthma and so on, going into a building with mold. Can you just imagine what you're going into? So we can understand that, and there you hear her talking about, you know, building out this health clinic for, say, 2-3 days per week and so on. And I believe that that's a worthwhile suggestion, and it behoves the Minister of Health, Dr. Christopher Tufton, and his team to look into this. By the way, people are paying taxes here in Jamaica, and it is indeed very, very sad what is being meted out for healthcare here. We saw Cornwall Regional Health and the ministers trying to deflect from it and saying it's not overrun. But here was a situation that was supposed to cost $2.5 billion. Is now $26 billion and counting. We get that it probably end up between 32 billion at the end of the day. And, you know, we're putting this there. Danishka, do you find that we're talking about that number?
There are 7,500 electors in the Calderwood division. I guess you want to multiply that by 4 to give you a 28,000 or 29,000 thereabout persons who live in the division.
Wow.
You know, I mean, but I can't say what the traffic is like at the clinic. I can't tell you the exact traffic there.
All right, so Danishka, this is the political season, so I'm sure that you would be forced somewhat to even come out of pocket and so to assist those who are even most vulnerable to at least even, find their way to the clinic, which must have been some a strain. And you're not the member of parliament. Whatever you do is certainly out of pocket, unlike your opponent who is a sitting member of parliament.
I have a correction. It's actually 5,351.
All right, good.
On the voters list.
Good.
I don't want to put out misinformation,
Thanks for that, Danishka. So, I'm sure that you would have to do that from time to time, because
of course.
especially those who you say are more.
It's all a part of the game. It's all a part of the game. But for me, what's most important is to find solutions that work for more than less.
Good.
It would be better if we could have mobile clinics, because then that would serve more people than for me to give transportation to persons. It would be less.
Absolutely, and that is why we are hailing the move this morning. Danishka, I'm going to give you the opportunity now to basically make your pitch as it relates to looking ahead. What are your long-term goals for improving healthcare infrastructure across your constituency of Northwest Centre?
Southwest Centre.
Southwest, I'm sorry, Southwest Centre.
No problem. My political sister Gabby is doing the same in Northwest.
Gabby, boy, I saw both of you last night. Powerful team, man.
Yes. For Southwest Centre, we have quite a number of health centres across the constituency. We have Clarksonville, which is desperately in need of renovation. And for me, there are certain things that I look at that are also very important, but some persons might not find them important. So a simple thing as a sign. As simple as a sign.
That is a major thing, Danishka.
Psychology is important.
Major thing. As a matter of fact, I'll say this to you. That is I have had that discussion with Mayor Mitchell and MP Phillips in the past as to how important, because what it does, sign a name in the street, it gives somebody some monetization. It makes you be in something.
I don't know how many politicians look into that, but the psychology of it is important. You want kids to know where they are, who they are, and that they are important. And by doing those basic things, it brings a sense of confidence in our young people, right? So that's one. But more importantly, I don't want a pretty building when the inside not pretty, right? So we need proper infrastructure inside of our health centers, right? I do want to commend the staff, however, because I do know that they're doing their best. While I went on the tour, we were able to speak to them, and they're pleasant.
Danishka, I'm up on the 10:30 break right there. I'll go and beg you for about 2 or 3 minutes on the other side of the hour.
No problem.
Hold for me. Stick and stay. We're talking to Danishka Williams, MP caretaker. Suka. Hour sponsored by Wellington Dental over there in Spanish Town. All right, on Wellington Street to be exact, as we say hi to Dr. Palmer and her team there. Of course, we are simulcasting this morning with our friends at Fit FM, also Caribbean Vibe Radio and the Wayne Hall Network. We're coming to you live from the studio here at News Talk 93 FM at the Premier Learning Institution, UWI Mona campus, as we bring the program to you. Our mantra is to get information out there, and that's what we do. We have the candidate for Southwest St. and Danishka Williams and line. And Danishka, welcome back. Danishka?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes.
Sorry.
Your colleague, one of your colleague, Conrad, as you're described, out of Ochareas, Nicola Hamilton, she is hailing you this morning, and she is saying very, very interested information. All right. Mm-hmm. All right. So you were on your feet. You were talking.
Nicola is from Northeast. I met her recently.
Yes, she is indeed. She was the standard bearer for the Ocherest division in the local government election. Still the caretaker there, I gather.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Danishka, we put to you your plan going forward, and you started.
We were talking about upgrading the facility.
Indeed, you started to enumerate. So just continue.
Based on the tour that I did, because the type of leadership that I believe in and I'm about is consultative.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't just come and say, I do have ideas. I have ideas written down in my notes. I have ideas written down in my book. But what's important to me is that ensuring that my ideas are not just what's in my head, but they're also aligned with what persons want.
Mm-hmm.
So when I did the tours of the health centers, I spoke to the sick persons who were there.
Yes.
I spoke to persons who are just there for a regular checkup or there with their kids. I spoke to the constituents who went there.
Mm-hmm.
And I also spoke to the nurses. It was a Thursday, so luckily there was a doctor at one of the health centers that I got to speak to. And based on all that I've gathered, they need to be properly staffed.
Mm-hmm.
We need doctors there more regular. It's not regular enough,
mm-hmm.
right? The facilities are desperately in need of upgrades.
Mm-hmm.
Like they need to be renovated in terms of files and stuff like that. Everything needs to be renovated.
Mm-hmm.
They need better equipment. They need more supplies,
mm-hmm.
right? In some cases, we can expand the services, but I do believe that's a discussion that Dr. Dawes would have to take on. He was on the tour with me, so he would be able to say, and I know he has toured many others, so he went to Sab, he went to Anata Bay,
mm-hmm.
And he did a couple more. So I know he can put together a list of what each facility would need. But I do know for Southwest St. Anne, there's so much more that can be done, Conrad. And I do look forward to serving my constituents in that way.
Good.
I look forward to it.
Finally, Danishka, Alexandra, that's one of the big townships, as it were, in your constituency. You said
Mm-hmm.
that the facility there has been downgraded to a community hospital. I know you said Dr. Dawes, who is the point man, will basically be rolling out the overall plan there. But you wish to...
What's happening at Alexandria is the upgrade is currently taking place. Right, so it's something that was... that Comrade Horace Daly was working on.
Oh, yes,
right?
You did mention that. Mm-hmm.
There's two NGOs in the U.S. They signed an MOU with the Ministry of Health, so they're working on the upgrades now.
Oh.
Right? So it's in progress.
That is in progress.
It will be rolled out before the election, because this election season. But it could also be that it completes when we take government. So I'm not certain of the expected completion timeline. I don't know.
All right, Danishka, I want to congratulate you on the work you're doing.
I do want to assure my constituents in Southwest St. Anne that I am here to do the work for you. I am currently the only voice that you hear advocating for you, and I will continue to do so until you get better in Southwest St. Anne. There is a lady who she went to the hospital. She was having shortness of breath. And she went up to Alexandria, and they told her that after 10, they're only doing maternity.
Wow.
On her way to St. Anne's Bay, she died.
Oh, my God.
I spoke to her son yesterday, and he's still disheartened by it, because he feels as if whichever hospital, and I mean, these are real people that we're dealing with. He feels as if no matter which hospital you go to, once you go to a facility that have doctors, and you're having shortness of breath, they're supposed to look at you.
Yes,
and I'm not ever gonna knock the healthcare practitioners, right? I do want to commend them, and they are doing their job and the best that they can do. But it is an unfortunate situation that happened to this lady. Very unfortunate.
Very much. In 30 seconds, Danishka, I always like to end. Especially new candidates, who are in what is described as challenging constituency and so on, about how your campaign going? You're buoyed by the response you're getting?
30 seconds? I need more than 30 seconds. Okay. So, Southwest St. Anne, I've only been campaigning since December 7th. That was my very first day in the constituency. The energy has been high. People are pretty excited about my candidacy. You know, they greet me well. There's so many places that I go that people hug me up, then lift me up. There are communities that I go in that I was told that don't go there, so. For example, the community that my opponent was born and raised in Wattown, and I made it my duty to go there, not because he was born and raised there, but because my grandmother was born and raised there, right? So I go there and they meet me, they greet me so warmly. You know, I feel welcome. I don't feel like they don't want me there. I genuinely believe that they are ready for change, and that's what I'm here to deliver to them. There are issues that I will be focusing on. You know, there's roads that need fixing badly. There's water issues. There's water that runs through the constituency, but my constituents don't have pipes to access. Right? We have rivers, but no water, no pipes. There's so many issues that I have been looking at, and what my approach to it is to bring in the relevant persons to walk with me, journey with me, so you can help me to find a solution. Because I don't plan to do it by myself, especially not in this short time frame. Right? It's an election year. So I'm bringing in as many persons as I can, and we're working together with the residents to find the solutions. Regarding housing, my opponent promised them Alexandria Estate. In 2020, he told them that the houses were here. In 2025, they are not here. And I brought Senator Floyd Morris, who is the next Minister of Housing, to let them know that, look here, with Danishka as a member of Parliament, we will be bringing the houses. Right? We're not making empty promises. We've identified where these houses can go. Right? We've gone extra steps to figure it out, because we're not just giving them election promises. We want them to identify that these are real solutions, and for them to see that this is the plan that we have. Right? I've completed my manifesto. I'm in the process of just doing the fine-tuning, so my farmers can understand how they will benefit when I am their MP. My teachers and principals can understand how they too will benefit. Right? I want my young persons to understand that I am creating paths for them, for when they leave high school, they know what to do next. They're not wondering or sitting down. They know what is next, because I'm creating clear paths for my young persons, right?
Good.
I am ensuring that the residents of Southwest Centan are included in the process.
Boy, then
the People's National Party has only won that constituency twice, and I don't think it's an accident that I am here now. 3 times the charm. The difference is I won't only do one term, because the problems that I'm going to be fixing, I will need more than one term.
Sounds
we'll be doing the work, Conrad. And so far I have started, and I've been putting my solutions together, and the people are excited. They treat me well, you know, and I equally treat them well, and we have a great relationship, myself and the residents of Southwest Centan. So we're looking forward, we're excited, and we're doing the groundwork, because we know nobody's giving me this seat. We know I have to take it. Right? So I'm not fighting them tooth and nail. They can take down the board, but them can't remove the love that the people have for me. That's not something they can change.
Good.
Right? They can spread lies and rumors, but they can't stop what is going on.
John, there's a John here who is saying my MP, referring to you.
Big up, John.
All right.
I'm not sure which John this is, but big up, John.
All right, cool. And of course, so much expression there, Danishka. When you leave me, I'm sure you can look at a lot of comment that are coming up on the Conrad OB TikTok as we stream. You know, we complement mainstream with social media. Thanks a lot, Danishka, and we wish you well. We wish you well. Wish you well. God bless you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. God bless. All right, so that's Danishka Williams there. She is the standard bearer down there in Southwest St. Anne for the People's National Party. Now that constituency now represented in the House of Parliament by one Xavier Main. And indeed, you know, I'm going to say something here. I will keep it I'll keep it as much as possible in the box, but I do my work in a particular way. So I was always mindful of having both JLP and PNP standard bearers. I reached out several occasions to accommodate JLP members. I must hail MP Rob, that's Miller, Big Rob Miller over in St. Catherine there, Portmore. He came on, and a few others, Minister Williams and so on. But I must tell you that building up now to the general election, I've reached out, I've gotten names. In the past, for example, I was expecting to be joined by Mr. Young. he's running down there in Northwest Manchester against Mr. Phillips. But I was actually told by someone who in the main would be responsible to filter those persons to me, that they have taken a decision that none of the candidates will be talking to me. Some may get it, some may sell it, or some may get it, some may give it to you. So when you don't hear any of the JLP here, standard bearers here, it is not my doing. It is the decision that they made. All right? But the work, the show must go on. Hello, caller. Well.